Mother's Day is this massive, ubiquitous, worldwide tribute, right? I mean, we see the greeting cards, the flower deliveries, the packed brunch spots. It's deeply ingrained in our cultural calendar to honor maternal bonds and the really profound societal influence of mothers. But the story behind how this day actually came to be and how it's celebrated across the globe is way more complex, dramatic, and honestly a lot more fascinating than a simple Hallmark card would ever lead you to believe.
So here is a wild piece of trivia for you. The ultimate irony of the modern American Mother's Day lies with its very founder, a woman named Anna Jarvis. In the early 20th century, she campaigned tirelessly, literally gave it her all, to establish this holiday as a profound, solemn tribute to mothers. And yet, this same woman eventually protested it, boycotted it, and was even arrested fighting the exact holiday she brought into existence. I mean, how does a founder turn so fiercely against her own creation?
Well, Jarvis was absolutely outraged. She called the greeting card and floral industries charlatans, bandits, pirates, kidnappers, and termites. Tell me how you really feel, right? But seriously, she had intended Mother's Day to be a highly private, intimate day. It was supposed to be a time for handwritten letters and quiet, heartfelt sentiment. But almost immediately, these industries saw a massive financial opportunity. They started mass-producing cards and those prearranged bouquets, heavily commercializing the whole event. Jarvis felt these companies had just completely hijacked and perverted the purity of her original vision, swapping out real sentiment for profitable convenience.
And that brings us to the tragic irony of her life. Anna Jarvis passed away at the age of 84 in a sanitarium. She was deeply in debt, having spent her life and her entire personal fortune battling the commercialization of her holiday. But get this, unbeknownst to her, the bills for her stay at the sanitarium were secretly paid by individuals in the very floral and greeting card industries she had spent decades fighting. The commercial racketeers, as she called them, actually funded her final days. You really can't make this stuff up.
Okay, let's hit rewind for a second and look at forging the American holiday.
The roots of this tradition actually go all the way back to 1870 with Julia Ward Howe. She was a pacifist who issued a Mother's Peace Day appeal, urging mothers to unite against the carnage of war. Fast forward to 1905, and Anna Jarvis's own mother, Anne Reeves Jarvis, passes away. Anne had been a dedicated social activist who cared for wounded soldiers on both sides of the American Civil War. So, to honor her mother's immense public service, Anna holds the first official Mother's Day worship service in 1908 in Grafton, West Virginia. Her relentless campaigning finally pays off in 1914 when President Woodrow Wilson signs a decree making the second Sunday in May an official national holiday.
Now, the aesthetic of the day was highly specific. Jarvis explicitly chose the white carnation as the holiday's emblem. It was her mother's favorite flower, and it was meant to symbolize purity and undying love. But, as you might guess, commercialization took over fast. As carnations became instantly associated with the day, florists hiked up the prices, and groups like the American War Mothers began selling them to raise funds. Jarvis was so furious she literally tried to trademark the flower just to stop others from profiting off its sale. Here is a fascinating little detail. Anna Jarvis deliberately trademarked the spelling as a singular possessive, mothers, with the apostrophe before the S. Why? Well, she wanted to emphasize that each family should privately honor their specific, individual mother. It was never meant to be a generalized celebration of all mothers everywhere. It was supposed to be about your mom.
So, moving on, let's explore the tapestry of global dates.
Globally, there is a vast array of dates and really diverse origins for this holiday. It's not just a May thing. In the Arab world, for example, the day is celebrated on March 21st, tying perfectly into the spring equinox. This was pushed in Egypt in the 1940s and 50s by journalist Mustafa Amin, though it definitely echoes ancient Egyptian festivals honoring Isis and new life. Over in the UK and Ireland, the celebration is tied to religious feasts falling on the fourth Sunday in Lent. Meanwhile, in Russia and many ex-communist nations, honoring mothers is deeply intertwined with International Women's Day on March 8th.
And some of these dates hold intense, really specific historical significance. Take Bolivia, for instance. Their Mother's Day isn't tied to a season or a religious calendar, it's permanently fixed on May 27th. This date commemorates the Battle of La Coronilla in 1812. It was a pivotal moment in their War of Independence, where women bravely participated in combat to defend their children and their city. Talk about a powerful reminder that the maternal instinct to protect can literally shape national history, right? Which perfectly sets up our next section, unique traditions worldwide.
Let's look back at the United Kingdom.
Their modern Mother's Day actually evolved from a 16th century custom called Mothering Sunday. Historically, this was a day when servants were given a rare day off to return home to their mother church, the main parish of their hometown. As they walked back, they'd gather hand-picked wildflowers from the lanes. It became this wonderful family reunion, and the tradition evolved to include treating mothers to edible gifts. The most famous one is the traditional marzipan-topped simnel cake. Just a brilliant tradition.
But the incredible depth of global customs is perhaps best seen in Ethiopia. They celebrate with a massive 3-day feast called Antrish, which happens in mid-fall, right after the rainy season ends. It is deeply collaborative. The girls traditionally bring the spices, vegetables, cheese, and butter, while the boys provide a lamb or a gull. The mother takes all these ingredients and prepares a traditional hash recipe. And it's followed by this beautiful celebration where mothers and daughters anoint their faces and chests with butter, while the men sing traditional songs honoring their family and heroes. It's a completely immersive community experience.
Finally, let's talk about how this is becoming an evolving, inclusive celebration.
Because, as much as this day is about celebration and gift-giving, we absolutely have to acknowledge that it can be a deeply complex and difficult time for a lot of people. For individuals dealing with the loss of a parent, for those struggling with infertility, or for people in non-traditional family structures, this ubiquitous, heavily marketed holiday can be really painful. That constant barrage of advertising that just assumes a perfect nuclear family dynamic, it can feel incredibly alienating.
So the crucial takeaway here is this ongoing, thoughtful shift we're seeing in society. We are slowly moving away from that purely commercialized norm, the one that insists you have to buy expensive gifts for a standard nuclear family. Instead, we're seeing the rise of a more inclusive, modern holiday, one that honors chosen families, grandmothers, mentors, one that holds space for grief and acknowledges that maternal love comes in countless forms. And honestly, in a way, this shift back toward genuine sentiment and personalization is exactly what Anna Jarvis was fighting for all those years ago.
To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Knowing the passionate, anti-commercial origins of the American holiday, and seeing the rich, diverse ways the world celebrates these incredible maternal figures, how can you reject those commercial racketeers Anna Jarvis hated so much? How can you truly honor the original, heartfelt, and intimate sentiment of Mother's Day with the maternal figures in your own world? Think beyond the store-bought card and really consider what genuine connection looks like.